Hey everyone, welcome back to Wood's Tiny Farm. If you're new here, my name is Marissa, and today I'm going to be canning beef bone stock. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got my beef bones here. I preheated the oven to 450. We're actually gonna roast these before we boil them for 6 to 12 hours. And so I'm gonna show you guys how I get these prepped in the pan. Okay, so I'm gonna be going against the recipe just a tiny bit. The butcher shop did not have exactly what I needed, but I'm still gonna be using about the same amount of weight for the bones, so it won't really be too far off from the recipe. Okay, so got this bag of what they say is just marrow bones. And the recipe calls for 4 beef knuckles, so I'm gonna use 4 of these. Oh, these things are massive. Look at that. It's huge. Okay guys, I think I'm just actually gonna do 3 because I think these might be bigger than normal. That's what the gal at the butcher shop said. So because I don't have a huge roasting pan, I'm just gonna do that for now. Okay, now the recipe does call for 2 bone-in beef short ribs. I bought 4 because I was originally going to double the recipe, but then I decided against that. But since this bag of marrow bones was less weight than I thought it was gonna be, I'm just gonna actually use all 4 of my short ribs. Ideally, you want to be using a bigger roasting pan. I know I have a roasting pan, but I don't know where it is and I don't want to search for it right now. So I have this big cast iron skillet that I'm just going to use. Everything's kind of packed in here, but I think it's still going to work just fine. Okay, so it says sprinkle it with salt and pepper. Oh, forgot to mention, if you guys hear chirping in the background, that is the tub of baby chicks over there. I've got 16 in the house and they are so loud. Okay, so did that, and then it says drizzle with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just gonna eyeball it, okay. Then it says flip them over in the pan and we're gonna coat them with some tomato paste. So, you know, this is kind of just kind of winging it here. Okay. Good enough. Wash my hands again. Okay. Okay, and then it says drizzle with some more olive oil. And now we are gonna roast these, it says for 30 minutes or until they are deep brown, but not scorched and burned. So I'm gonna put these in the oven and we'll see how they turn out. Okay, so while the bones are roasting, I'm gonna prep the rest of the stuff. So I've got my portable burner here and my stock pot. I know this burner can go all day. I've made salsa on it and it's done amazing. I'll link that for you guys because I did a lot of research before purchasing this, and it's really good for pressure canning as well. So I'm not gonna turn it on yet, but I'm just gonna start adding my ingredients into it. Okay, so it says 4 celery stalks coarsely chopped. 5 carrots coarsely chopped. It says 3 yellow onions peeled and quartered. However, I only have 2 yellow onions, so I'm just going to be substituting a white in there. I'm going to be improvising a little bit on this recipe and not going by the exact recipe, but I will post the exact recipe so you guys know exactly what's in it. So it just says peeled and quartered, which makes it easy. That. It says excess exterior skins removed, tops chopped off to expose the cloves. That sounds like we're not supposed to peel each individual one. Ooh, my eyes are starting to burn because of that onion. Oh, I need onion goggles. Ooh, I'm gonna rinse this off. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick little break from this and I'm going to turn the beef bones. Okay, back to our prep work over here. Gonna continue with our garlic. Okay, then it calls for 2 bay leaves, a tablespoon of whole black peppercorns, half a bunch of fresh thyme, just gonna use that. Okay, and then it also calls for 4 sprigs of oregano and 1 bunch of fresh flat leaf parsley, but I do not have those 2 things, so I am actually gonna leave those out. Okay, so everything's added in except for the meat. I'm gonna wait for that to finish and then we'll get everything added. Oh my goodness, these smell so good. Just gonna add them right in there. picking this up. There we go. Okay, so it says to put some warm water in here to remove the drippings, but we have enough liquid in here that I'm just gonna scrape the bottom, and then I'm gonna put all the drippings in here. Okay. This pan is so heavy. Only I had 3 hands. Just gonna do that. Okay, good enough. Now we're gonna add 4 gallons of cold water to this. And I just have a pitcher here and I have it marked with the gallon mark, so it makes it easier. Okay guys, this is not quite 4 gallons in here. I think those beef knuckles were so big that it took up more space than it was supposed to. So I might just keep it at that. I might possibly add a little bit more water later into the process once a lot of this water kind of dissipates from this. Make sure it's centered on my burner and get it going. Okay, so we're supposed to get this boiling for about 5 minutes, and then we're supposed to reduce it to a simmer. So I'm just gonna keep it on high right now until it's boiling. I'm a little bit nervous that it's gonna boil over, so I'm just gonna keep a close eye on it and make sure it doesn't fly everywhere. While my stock is simmering, I am going to get my jars prepped for the pressure canning process. So I've got 7 quarts out right now. I have looked at them closely to make sure they don't have any nicks in them. I need to go get my bands and my lids, but this recipe you can use 7 quarts or you can use 14 pints. So I'm just gonna go with quarts because I figure that's kind of how I will use them instead of just smaller cans. I can just pull one big one out, and even if I don't use the whole jar, I can put it in the fridge for later. Okay, I'll show you guys where I keep my bands and my lids. Let's just come down here. It's an animal house in here. We usually keep this baby gate closed because Lulu likes to come down and eat the cat food in here. So this shelving area is kind of where I keep some food supplies and my canning supplies. And I am such a lid hoarder, so look at all these. Like, these are all brand new. I have a ton of them in these. You know, you gotta be prepared because we saw what happened in 2020 when there was nothing available. So I've been hoarding these for a while, and I'm hoping to use probably most of them this year because I want to do a lot of canning. And then I just have my rings down here. I just counted these, and wow, I have 164 wide mouth and 112 regular mouth. So whoa baby, that is a lot of canning. I'll show you guys the loud birds over here too. I just cleaned their cage out yesterday. Now look at this. Back to the beef stock. It's been about an hour and it's still not boiling. So just so you're aware, it takes a while to boil because you add cold water on top and it has to come up to temperature. So still waiting on this to boil. Once it starts, we're gonna let it boil for about 6 hours. So it's gonna be kind of hands off for most of the day, and then we'll can everything later. Okay guys, it is day 2. I did not can yesterday. I decided to boil my stock for longer than 6 hours. So it actually boiled for 10 hours until 9:30 at night, and then I just put it out in the garage with the lid on it because the garage is kind of like a cooler, and brought it back in this morning, and now it's boiling again. So I am going to take out all the big chunks and just put them in a bowl, and then I will have to strain it into this other big stock pot. So turn that burner down a little bit. It smells so good. This is my first time making this, and I'd say I would recommend maybe planning on boiling for longer than 6 hours. Some of the marrow wasn't quite breaking down at 6 hours. Looks like there's still probably some in there, but definitely needed more than 6 in my opinion. If you have the time, I would say if you're gonna do this, maybe get it going first thing in the morning, so you can just have it going all day. And then if it's too much to do in one day, just can it the next day. That's easy enough. Oh, big piece. So there is some meat in here that was on the ribs, and so I'm not just gonna throw that away. I'll deal with all of this later. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna snap my label. I actually think I'm gonna take 2 cups of this and make a sloppy joe recipe and can that up. If you guys are interested in that, I'm hoping to get a video on that as well. That's in the same canning book that I was using for this recipe. So I'll link the book that I used for this recipe below. It's got so many good recipes, lots of meals in a jar, like chicken pot pie filling, sloppy joe mix, how to make this beef stock, beef broth, chicken stock. There's a lot of recipes in it, so I'll link that if you're interested. But I think it's normally $20, but last I looked it was on sale for like 14 something. So anyways, if you're in the market for that, check it out. This is taking a while. Okay, I think I'm gonna try to strain some of it now. There's still some big chunks in there, but let's see if I can get some of this liquid out. Now this is the part that I'm a little nervous of. It's literally like right on the edge here, so we'll see if that holds. I don't have one of those nice strainers with a stand. It would be nice eventually to invest in something like that. It's gonna be heavy. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take this glass measuring cup and dip it in there because that is super heavy. Looks pretty good. Okay, wish me luck here. Oh, I'm too short. This is hard. Okay. Here. Okay. So I can show you a marrow bone. So it looks like most of the marrow came out of there. It's kind of shriveled up, if you can see. Kind of shriveled up in there. So all the nutrients and the good stuff came out, which is a good sign. I'm making a mess, guys. Okay. Okay, so I am going to prep now for the actual pressure canning process, and we'll meet back here in a second. I think I have everything prepped. I filled my jars with hot water. We get really hot water in our laundry room sink because it's right by the water heater, so I just take them back there and fill them up with hot water instead of boiling them in a canner or stock pot. So I'm going to dump these out, and as I dump them out, I will start filling them with the hot stock and getting them into the canner. Let's dump 2 of these out. Might give this a good stir before I reach in there because it looks like it has a layer of grease and fat and good stuff on the top, so I want it to be evenly distributed before I just reach in and grab everything. And usually I make a big mess when I do this. It's everywhere. So you're going to want about 1 inch of head space in each jar. And I just dropped my spoon. I feel like it wants to separate really easily, so. Pour spout on this measuring cup just gets it all over. I need to find something better to use for this. Oh, well, for now, it works. I always feel like this is the most hectic part of the whole canning process, is trying to get it in the jars. It's usually a mess. So the recipe says it makes 7 quarts, which is all that's going to fit in my canner, but I've got more than 7 quarts here. So that's actually good because I was going to use 2 cups for that Sloppy Joe recipe. And maybe I'll just find another recipe that calls for it too and use it up that way instead of just canning it this way. I'll use it in another canning recipe. Bitter headspace is at 1 inch. I'll have to add a little bit more to some of these. Okay. That one's good. That needs a little bit more. Okay, now I forgot my vinegar, so I'm going to run and grab my vinegar so that I can clean off these jars because it's kind of a disaster here. Okay, before I wipe with vinegar, I'm actually going to give the jar itself a decent little wipe because these are just really greasy, as you can probably imagine, and I think I dripped it all over the place. Okay, so the jars are a little bit cleaned up. Now I need vinegar. Just gonna clean the tops here. So good seal. Lulu, you're ruining my video. Yeah, you really want to make sure you get the tops clean good with this recipe because of the greasiness. Just keep getting more vinegar here. do not boil these beforehand. I used to when I first started canning, but I realized it didn't really make a difference for me, so I don't add that extra step because I don't feel it's necessary. Okay, just fingertip tight. As I was getting these jars out from under the house, I realized most of the jars I have are wide mouth. I tried to get all regular mouth for this recipe because you don't need wide mouth for stock, but the one reason I like the regular mouth, if you don't need wide mouth, is because the lids are a lot, well, I shouldn't say they're a lot cheaper. They're like $1 cheaper a box, which saves a little bit of money, but yeah. Okay, I think they're ready. I've got this water warming up. In my book it says it should be 180 degrees-ish, so we're at about 150. I am just going to put these in and put my lid on. Okay, I think we're set to go. There we go. I'm gonna be fully transparent right now and tell you guys, I have never pressure canned before. So I've done a lot of water bath canning. I've had my pressure canner for, I think this will be 2 years now. And last year I got my gauge tested and it failed. And so I never ended up using it. I bought a new gauge, took it down to the extension office. It took them almost 3 months to test it. So anyways, I just got my gauge back and I thought I need to try a recipe. And I wanted to do one that was not super long in the canner, like an hour and a half. I wanted to start out with something that's gonna be a lot less time. So I think this one is like 25 minutes. But anyways, yeah, full transparency. I have never pressure canned, so this is my first time. I've watched a lot of videos on pressure canning, so I know that I need to vent my canner for 10 minutes. It's definitely not there yet. And then once I put the weight on here, I need to wait for this to start moving up. It won't focus, there we go. And I need to play around with kind of the controls on this burner and make sure I don't totally go over my pressure. So once it kind of starts rising, I think I'm going to turn it down because I've heard that you want it kind of low when it starts rising because it can rise pretty quick. So yeah, we'll just play it by ear and see how this goes. Another thing I want to talk about is this burner. So I bought this burner because I have a glass cooktop and I've heard that you can pressure can on them. You have to figure out if the manufacturer of the stove recommends that. I couldn't find anything on the stove, and so I thought just to be safe, I was going to invest in a portable burner. I did not want to blow my stove top apart and then have to buy a new stove. So this burner has been awesome. I've used it a couple times for like boiling all day, and it's great. It doesn't get hot around the sides. Yeah, I had to do a lot of research on this because there was so much conflicting information about what to can on, and so I had found this on Amazon and I read a lot of the reviews, and a lot of them were good and they had pictures of their pressure canner on it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with what the other canners are saying, because I did not want to, they say don't use like over a certain amount of BTUs, and so I was really nervous about getting the wrong thing, but this has worked great for my boiling and stuff. Like I said, I have never pressure canned. I'm sure it'll do fine, but yeah. Anyways, that's my spiel on the burner. It's been venting for 10 minutes, so now I'm gonna put the counterweight on here. I was nervous to do that. Okay, now it should start building pressure. Let's see how this goes. I just took the lid off, everything's done, everything went seamless. I'm so happy that my first pressure canning experience went good. So it took the canner 55 minutes to cool down to 0. And so I opened it up, it's been sitting for 10 minutes, and now I'm just gonna pull everything out and put them here on this cutting board. Look at that beautiful stalk. I am so excited to have this on my shelves. I want to make more batches of this for sure, but I'm just excited. This was my first pressure canning batch. And one thing I did forget to do was add vinegar to my water. So I will do that next time because it looks like I got some residue on there. This was the book I used, and like I said, this was my first time pressure canning, so I have not tried any other recipes in here. I'll link it below if you guys want to take a look, but I cannot wait to try a lot of these recipes because they look amazing. The meals in a jar, I just have so many ideas, and I need to actually try to plan my garden kind of around what I want to can this year. So anyways, this recipe said it was going to make 7 quarts. And so I got my 7 quarts, but I also have enough to do another 3 quarts or 6 pints. So I think I actually might can some in pints, and then that'll also leave me 2 cups left over for my Sloppy Joe recipe that I want to make. So anyways, guys, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to do more videos like this, and I will see you on the next one.